Steve, and Brent, and Scott, of course Terry, getting beat up last night. Some deep thoughts. What's your reasoning behind not levering up and just owning outright? Like,
Good
what's
question.
your mental block? Why?
So first, there is no mental block. I am not opposed to debt. I use debt to build a portfolio that will ultimately be worth, with my current projects, $5 to $6 million, right? It is a huge, powerful tool for growth. The one thing that I understand, lots of Lifeonaires understand, that the larger world doesn't seem to understand, is that there's such a thing as big enough. And more is not always better, better is better. I'm no longer actively looking to grow because I've achieved the financial goals. I'm now focused on becoming a better father, becoming a better husband, becoming a better coach, having a greater impact. And those things are easier to do when I'm not stressed out about paying for a loan on a property that's leveraged, right? How worried am I in Florida? I own it outright. Generates about $150,000 a year in revenue. I spend 50-ish, 40 actually. I've got 100 grand there. How stressed am I if my occupancy goes down by, say, 7% overnight? I don't know how stressed I am, but I'm less stressed than if I had a $6,000 mortgage payment due on the 31st of this month. As an aside, my occupancy went down by 7% overnight 11 days ago. I did an auction, and it went down. It's a acknowledgement, a personal acknowledgement. I'm not saying this is right. This is right for me, right? As best I know at this point. It'll be a little different tomorrow. I'm not opposed to debt. I just borrowed $300,000 on my personal residence because it made financial sense, right? It's a cost-benefit analysis. What I do probably more than most other people do is I acknowledge the non-financial costs of my financial decisions. Debt, whether I take on debt, the cash flow, the equity, the growth, that's largely a business and a financial decision. It has non-financial consequences to me and my family. And those I weigh heavily, more heavily than most other people, thanks to Lifeonaire largely, and the concepts that I learned there. Did that answer the question?
Yeah.
Sounds like last night, huh?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll be open, I don't care, I'll talk to anybody in this room, I think there's a big difference, this is me personally, there's a big difference between being personally financial free and debt free, and then having your business being debt free. I mean, I understand where you're coming from, and I don't disagree, growth stage of where you are, and then taking the time to reassess and potentially coming out of that debt. However, I still see some financial benefits. I'm not saying personally it doesn't affect me, but it was an interesting concept to discuss. Just, I guess it's so hard because I've always been in growth mode for such a long time to even wrap your mind around that. Besides personally,
Right. So,
It takes a while. Still struggle with it a year or two.
right.
well, yeah, my problem is it's like, well, unlock the equity and go. I mean, like,
It's probably better way to say you handle your fault.
So the question would become, right? And I'm not telling you my way is right for you. I just want you to think about, you said you're not going to deny that it affects you personally. If you were less leveraged, might you be better able to ignore a phone call?
Potentially.
That's all it is. It's not to say that you're a bad person, a bad father for taking on debt that makes you answer a phone call. It's a cost-benefit analysis. The only time it's wrong is when you don't acknowledge the non-financial costs, right? It's just a matter of awareness so that you can make the decision. It's wrong, not wrong. I get frustrated when I see people pretending that their financial decisions their business decisions don't impact their life. Like, oh, I've got to do X, Y, and Z for the business. You've heard what's the story, the proverb, or what, it's not a proverb, whatever it is.
go Mexican fishing?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, let's go.
Right? You guys are all familiar with it?
Yeah, I think that's right at my tipping point where I really started to get drunk.
Maybe someone will refresh you over lunch. We don't have time to get into it now. But long story short is this CEO tries to convince this Mexican fisherman who's living the life of his dreams. He hangs out and fishes on the dock in a boat, drinks some beer, goes home after 2 hours of fishing, spends his time with his family, and the CEO comes in, shows him how to scale the business, have a huge fleet, do this incredible thing. And the guy's like, well, why would I do that? He's like, well, so you can then do whatever you want. You could just work 2 hours a day and fish for 2 hours, drink beer, hang out with your family. Like, let's do all of this stuff so we can end up doing, he had the life he wanted. The CEO thought more was better, but the fisherman knew that better was better.
Yeah, we'll work on it when we get back up.
We come to Arkansas, we can have a long discussion.
Yeah, the other thing that
You won't do it.
I kind of realized too,
Go to
I've
Arkansas.
been exposed to this recently, is if you look at your cash flow, the amount of debt service you're paying, if you get rid of all of that, you could be basically netting the same with 50% less headaches and.
I think 80% less.
Yeah, that's my point.
Until you experience that, man.
I think you gotta do it. You gotta just write it down, but then do what Mike actually shared with me, which I thought was really cool. His pros and cons of doing Bronson.
Yeah.
What it was gonna do, yes, your debt was gonna go up, your stress was gonna go up, you're gonna have less time, but then it did this thing over here that was good. I mean, he even had me listed on there, he was gonna double my IRA was gonna be double time.
I was going to empower Brent to make twice as much money as he could make anywhere else. That was part of my decision for doing Florida. There were negative things about Florida. It was going to take me away from my family, right? And so I have a vision about all aspects of my life, business being part of it, but with the primary role of business creating the life I want. And so this business decision, where is it going to move my needle forward and where is it going to move my needle back? Here's the thing. When I started this, $20 million was my goal. $20 million in self-storage, that's what I want. Why? Oh, that's a nice round number, and you'd have to pat me on the back if I got there, right? Like, more was better. What I realized is that to do that, I would need to leverage. Let's say I was even conservatively leveraged at, whatever, 60%. I got $12 million in debt, here I am. Well, I can make the same amount of money off a portfolio of $5 million that I own outright. And now, when I have that leveraged portfolio, I only get to keep part of the money. The rest has to go to the banks, right? But how many of the headaches does the bank handle for me to manage that portfolio? None. So they take a bunch of the money and don't handle any of the headaches. That means I have $20 million in headaches for a piece of the pie. When I own the property outright, I'm still responsible for the whole $5 million portfolio, but I get all the headaches, which is way less than a $20 million portfolio, and my take-home pay is the same.